What if we unlearn it all, just to see further? They told me, play it safe, play it small. Same script, same skips, same walls. But I got tired of the ceiling, started asking why I'm kneeling to a fear that never fit me at all. I had to break that pattern in my head. Question, in every limit I was bred. New view when you rise up, new rules when you wise up. Second thoughts about the things I was led to accept. Remove logic, all that broken logic that kept you staying quiet when your heart screamed try it. Remove logic, old rules, you gotta drop it. Elevate your mind, yeah. Elevate your talk, cause when you elevate your mind, you elevate your thinking. Elevate your thinking, you elevate your living. Your greater life is higher right behind that mental prison. Remove logic, go and you the thing you never vision. Yeah, they said be realistic, watch your step. But what's realistic when the future ain't been lived yet? Dream so big and make you down feel foolish. Move so free and make your best look clueless. If it don't work, maybe it's the rule book. If it felt cursed, maybe that's the old look. Flip the frame, new lens, new truth, new friends. You ain't stuck, you just train. Time to pay. Remove logic, all that broken logic kept you staying quiet when your heart screamed try. Remove logic, old rules, you gotta drop it. Elevate your mind, yeah.
Hello. Welcome to Remove Logic. I'm your host, Karen Ray Lacey, and I'm so glad that you decided to join us for another power-packed episode of Remove Logic. Why Remove Logic? I'm glad you asked, because we believe that God is not bound by logic or logistics. So what does that mean? That everything that you're thinking, everything that you believe about yourself, we came to help you to get unstuck. We believe that God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you could ask, think, even imagine. So we say to you, remove logic. Thank you so much for joining me again here on Remove Logic. To the Remove Logic community, the faithful ones, I'm so grateful that you are here with us again. And to those of you that are just getting to know me and the Remove Logic community, you can find us on Fishbowl Radio Network, airing there Thursdays at 7 p.m. And then God has done something powerful with Remove Logic and expanded us to the LiTtv network. And we air there every Monday night on the Gospel Channel at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then also 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So look for us on LiTtv network as well as Fishbowl Radio Network. Now, if you want to see previously aired episodes, I invite you to go to my YouTube channel, Remove Logic, and you can see the library of previously aired episodes. I'm so excited for this opportunity to meet with you again and to help you to move further in what God has called you to do, removing logic. Tonight's episode is powerful. I have a question for you. What happens when faith meets media, purpose meets platform, and one man decides that Black and brown people deserve to tell their own stories, their way? Tonight, I am sitting down with the co-founder of the LiTtv network, the man helping to build the vision of television in a different way and television infrastructure for our community, one screen at a time. He is a serial entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a Christian educator, a pastor, a TV host, a husband, a father who decided that leveraging information together was not just a mission, but a movement. It's a movement. And Remove Logic is a part of that movement. I invited him to come on, share his vision, talk to you about the LiTtv network, share the vision, and move you forward. If you have a message that you feel deserves a bigger platform, then this is the episode for you. Tonight, we're going to go deeper into the network. We're going to go into the why. And I want to welcome to Remove Logic my guest, Mike GRUBBS, co-founder and CSO of the LiTtv network. Hey, Mike.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thanks so much for having me.
You are so welcome. That was a mouthful because you are a busy person wearing a lot of hats. And I want to say to you, thank you so much for taking the time and saying yes to Remove Logic and to me, that our community can get to know what it is that we have connected with to expand Remove Logic beyond radio. Now we are part of a streaming TV platform. And I want to give you the moment just to introduce yourself and anything that God has put on your heart.
Okay.
Welcome.
Well, thanks so much for having me. Listen, I don't have to say a whole lot more. When I tell you, you just did one of the most phenomenal introductions. So in my Hall of Fame of people that does introductions, it has always been Steve Harvey. So what he did at the Kings of Comedy and the way that he introduced Jesus, like that's always going to be the GOAT. But then close in proximity, number 2 is you and Shannon Sharp. You just did a phenomenal job. I don't have to add anything to it because I would do a disservice.
Well, now, and I want them to get to know you as I'm getting to know you. I know that we're growing together. But
Absolutely.
Tonight, I want to share with the Remove Logic audience from vision to visibility. In this interview, I want to talk to them about your vision and then how your vision brings visibility to those that are like me, that have that voice that God is saying, now it's time to go to another level. So I want to just dive in. We're going to see what God is going to speak in this time together. I'm so excited. But the title of this episode, guys, is From Vision to Visibility. And Mike, I know that LiTtv stands for leveraging information together. But before the network, there was a network. Before there was Roku and Amazon Fire TV, there was a vision. So I wanted you to take me back to the moment when that vision began, when it existed, and what problem were you solving and what gave you the faith to believe that it was possible?
Okay. So that's a loaded question. And so we'll dive back.
Okay.
As long as I can remember, I had been an educator. So there are a lot of people that call me pastor or some other title within the body of Christ. I've always been a teacher. I've always believed that when people know better, they can do better. So even when it comes down to what I do biblically, I teach biblical Greek and I teach biblical Hebrew because I just believe that the more we know, the more information we have, the stronger the revelation that we can have. Revelation comes from information. So a couple of years ago, I began teaching and training pastors literally all over the world. At one point, it was almost like 130, 140 pastors in 5 countries. And so in doing so, my now business partner came and said, hey, bro, what you need to do is you need to create a podcast. So in that way, you can put all your information in one central location or a couple different locations so people can go back to and get the information from it. So during that time, he was actually doing a podcast, and this podcast was called the LiTtv Show. And you nailed it earlier. Lit stands for leveraging information together. So he's doing the Lit television show, and it's like, you really need to get into this podcast space because you're getting all these phone calls every single week from all these different pastors. And a lot of times they ask you the same questions. So what if you only had to answer the question one time, put it in a place like YouTube or put it online so people can actually have access to it, and that's going to free up your time. And I was like, okay, well, it makes sense.
Makes sense.
When you do well in the podcast space, typically television networks will come looking for you, right? So his podcast had taken off, and he got invited to be on a television show on Fox Soul Network, which is a black television network that's owned by Fox News Corporation. Go figure. He becomes a guest on that show, and he's talking about finances. He's talking about relationships. And after he got off, he was like, okay, I got this bright idea. we need to have our own television channel. So he comes to me and say, hey, bro, what do you think about having a television channel? I was like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out this podcast stuff. And now you're talking about television. I don't know anything about television. He said, but you know about entertainment. You've been successful in corporate America. Then on top of that, you used to own a record label. And so we just take what you know from music and turn that over into television. And so we started doing the research, and he comes back to the table because he's also a serial entrepreneur, but he's a techie. And so he did all this research, and he said, what we're going to do is we're going to do an OTT channel. I'm like, well, what is OTT? Then he had to break it down for me, let me know that OTT stood for over the top. It's any streaming television, basically. If you have a Roku TV or Roku device, an Amazon Fire Stick, if you have Android TV, all of those are streaming devices. And it's like, what we're going to do is we're going to do our own television channel. Wow. And so I was reserved in the beginning because, like I said, I didn't know a whole lot about television, and it cost a lot of money. So he had already started making investments. And so then by the time I came along, I was able to come and help contribute, and it became a television channel. So at that point, our initial goal was to become what BET used to be for our people. We wanted to build a television channel that showed Black people in a positive light, because you can either be a part of the noise or you can be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And so for years, he was known as the nation's youth pastor. My wife and I have 7 boys and 1 girl. So I have a whole youth, a whole youth department just by myself, if you will. And so we wanted to be able to create a television station that our kids could watch and see other Black people doing exceptional things. We have phenomenal stories that never get told. We have stories of our parents and our grandparents that deals with reconciliation, that deals with them overcoming, stories that never get told. My grandmother on my father's side was the candy lady of the neighborhood. So she would sell penny candy, she would sell cookies and honey buns, and she would sell sodas. And sometimes the kids wouldn't even have dinner to eat at home. And the only food they'll be done ate was the food she gave to them because they didn't have money to buy food. But that story would never be told on mainstream media. So if you're not an athlete, if you're not someone that has a whole lot of money, if you're not somebody that has a whole lot of influence, a lot of times the only time you get a chance to say something is when you have something negative to say on the news, and then they're using that to help deter business from going in that particular side of town. So we wanted to build a television station that was designed to help educate, equip, and empower people of color.
I love that. I love that. Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain. Make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it. Now, this obviously is where we are. We're running with the vision that you and the co-founder started. The LiTtv story is a God-given vision, and which aligns perfectly with Remove Logic and how it is so faith-driven. The power of stories, and that was the whole thing with Remove Logic. God said, provide a platform where people can come and tell their stories. And we know that we have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And to truly understand that this is where we are with Remove Logic. And it was easy for me to align with you because this gave the platform. LiTtv was the platform for me to share those stories on a larger scale. Now, the mission behind this movement, your network was built specifically, as you said, to educate, equip, and to empower people of color, to let them tell their stories in their way. In a world where representation in media is still, it's a fight for us to just get our stories out there. It's a fight every day. How do you stay anchored to that mission when the pressure is so hot right now? It's like there's this pressure. How do you not change the mission that God has given you when pressure hits you?
Well, the mission has always been bigger than my business partner and I. We understand that although we are the vessels that God entrusted with this particular vision, it's not our vision, it's his vision. Amen. And we understand that where he gives vision, he gives provision, right? Yes. And so our goal from the beginning was always to do it God's way. to help educate, equip, and empower and enlighten people, so that way they can not only see themselves, they can see people that look like them in a different perspective, in a different way. So it's easy to stay anchored, because with us, it's not about a paycheck, it's not about money. And that happens so much when it comes to Black media companies. For instance, when Bob Johnson sold BET to Viacom, if I'm not mistaken, I think he sold it for $3 billion. And that was over 20 years ago. Why? Because Black people spend more money on brands, products, and services than any other race of people. So everybody want to get their brand, their business, or products and services in front of Black eyeballs, if you will. Yeah. And so anytime we build something that can take us to the next level, that can help us other people, more times than none, it's always sold away. So then we lose our representation, we lose our voice, we no longer control the narratives when it comes to ourselves and or our people. So we understood day one that this is a marathon and not a 50-yard dash. We turn down just as much business as we bring into the company, because we understand that what we're building is for generations to come. God gave us the vision, but it's the vision and the platform for our people, generation after generation. It allows us to tell our story to our people, our way. And so we started out as a single channel, and within 6 months, my business partner comes back and says, let's become a full television network. So now we're putting local TV channels in every major city across the country, so that way every city has an opportunity to see the amazing things that the people of color in their city, the local area that look like them, are doing right there with the same people you see in the grocery store.
Wow. Wow. Now, what you just said is the difference between being on a platform and owning platforms.
Come on.
What shifted the mindset, your mindset, from participation or part to ownership? What shifted? Like he said, now we're going to create a whole TV network. There had to be some shift in there. What was the shift for you guys?
Well, the biggest thing is being able to allow us to control our own narratives. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. In our local area, there's 155 schools in the city of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is the largest city in the United States land-wise, right? And Jacksonville has these different pockets or sides of town. So for instance, the north side gets a bad rap. So anytime there's crime that takes place, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear about the crime on the north side. You're going to hear about the crime on the south side, or the west side. You hear about the crime on the east side, but you don't hear a whole lot about crime when it comes to the south side. Well, you have a whole bunch of African Americans that live on the east side, that African Americans and Latinos live on the west side, and then you have a whole lot of African Americans that's on the north side, right? So if the news is showing up there, and every time they show a crime, a stabbing, or shooting, or murder, it makes people afraid to go to that side of town. So then if the people are not flocking to that side of town, our Black businesses can't thrive.
Suffering.
Less money the schools get in those zip codes, if you will, because of the people and the level income that's living in that specific area. And so on the south side of Jacksonville, we have this huge mall with every name brand store you can think of is in the St. John's Town Center, where there's just as much crime going on that side of town than any other side of town, but you're not going to hear it because that's where they're driving the dollars. So with that being said, we understood that we can shine a flashlight inside of these communities, because it's more than crime that's going on. And there's doctors that's coming out of these neighborhoods. There's lawyers that's coming out of these neighborhoods. There's professional ball players that's coming out of these neighborhoods. And it's almost like, can anything good come out of? Yeah, you know the rest. Come on.
Yes,
so we understood that this is not just a problem here in Jacksonville. This is a problem that's going on in every major city in the country. Yes. And so in order for our business to do better, there has to be visibility. Yes. In order for our schools to get more funding, there has to be visibility on the positive things that's going on inside those neighborhoods, in order that will attract people to come and our Black dollars can recirculate amongst our people, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. It reminds me of Isaiah 61 and 1. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me,
Come on.
Because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and to proclaim liberty to the captives. And that is what I'm hearing from you, is that you're proclaiming this place of liberation. You talked about businesses suffering because nobody is going in there. But when you enlighten them to the stories and the
That's
power
right.
of their community, you give voices to it, then that liberation and empowerment, the mission of LiTtv, you can see it manifest abroad. And you are so right, because when you think about what do they call them now, emerging neighborhoods, emerging,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
what is it, gentrification,
That's right.
where you see these communities now becoming alive, but it's not becoming alive because of the people that were originally there. It's because there's somebody else moving in and taking over. And those stores are being sold out. The mom and pop stores and the business owners for those small businesses. So I love the vision, and I love the fact that you can see the impact of the LiTtv network in those neighborhoods, because they are dying out slowly. If we don't give voice to them, nobody will ever know about the candy lady. And it's
That's
so
right.
interesting. We all had a candy lady. We all, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and you are in Florida. We had a candy lady. We had a
Wow.
candy lady. And so a lot of those things are just normal to our neighborhoods. They're very
That's right.
normal. Now,
That's right.
faith in business.
Hmm.
You wear a lot of hats. I know, as I said in the intro, you are an entrepreneur, philanthropist, educator, TV host, husband, father. And when I tell you, you studied Christian counseling at Tampa Bay Bible College as well. How does your faith actually show up as you run this business? I know you stepped out on faith, you ran with the vision, but, and I don't want the Sunday morning answer. I want your Monday morning answer. Because oftentimes, once we get done with Sunday and Monday shows up, we don't know what to do. You know, we'll leave it all on the altar, but when Monday comes, we don't have an answer for Monday morning. So I want your Monday morning answer on this one. What do you do, and how does your faith show up on Monday morning?
So understanding, um, when it comes down to business ownership and it comes to entrepreneurship, you hit the nail on the head. The only thing that entrepreneurship is a means to solving a problem.
Uh-huh.
If you can find a problem and you can provide a solution for that problem, people will pay money for it. And there's a major difference between business ownership and entrepreneurship, because business ownership can be cookie cutter, right?
Yes.
If you open a McDonald's franchise, then you know how many employees you need, you know where your products is going to come from, you know the corporate office is going to provide the advertising and marketing for you. But when you do entrepreneurship is completely different, because every entrepreneur is a business owner, but every business owner is not an entrepreneur. Because
Hmm.
the definition of entrepreneur, it literally means to swim out.
Swim out.
Entrepreneurs find the problem and then they make the financial investment in order to provide the solution for that problem. And so I'm going somewhere here. And so a lot of times it's uncharted waters. There's no blueprint for you to go off of. And I think that one of the things that allows my business partner and our faith to remain strong the way that it has been from the beginning is because of the partner that we selected. We understand that, like, Lit for him was an entrepreneur move for him. So
Uh-huh.
a lot of times when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you're so hungry for fulfilling the vision, you can even go through a season not even making money, because it's not about the money, it's about providing solution, it's about your purpose. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But
Yes,
then
it
you
does.
also have to have a business mindset, and this is where a lot of entrepreneurs miss it, because the business mindset is all about profits and losses, assets and liabilities. So I think we have the perfect combination, because we just didn't come in this as an entrepreneur mindset to really just fulfill the purpose, but at the same time, how not only do we make money, but everybody that's involved with us make money as well. So coming
Right.
into it, faith admits that there's a problem. It doesn't omit that there's a problem.
Mm. I like that.
In other words, when a person is sick, a lot of times they don't get the healing, because when you ask them how they're doing, or if they need help or they need finances, because they're going to tell you, I'm blessed and highly favored. What they're doing is they're omitting that there's an issue. Faith admits that there's an issue, but I also have an issue solver. There's a problem, but I also have a problem solver. And faith is one of those words I teach in 3 languages. So from the Greek perspective of faith, it's a Greek word pistis, which means persuasion. And because I understand what persuasion is, I'm fully persuaded that God is who he say he is. He can do what he says he can do. And if God is who he say he is and can do what he says he can do, then you can have what it is that he says you can have. So walking into this, it's easy for me to get up and rise and keep going through the motions because I know who he is, who he say he is. He can do what he says he can do, which means that we can have everything that he says that we can have.
Right, right. And when I like that because you say they will say, oh, I'm good, I'm blessed and highly favored. That's that Sunday answer.
That's
but
right.
When you get to Monday morning and the answer, the numbers are not adding up, or the vision might feel too big by Monday morning. I got a word on Sunday, but then by the time Monday comes, I'm overwhelmed by the vision being too big and the numbers and the math is not mathing, as we say. So you need an answer that's going to carry you from Sunday to Monday as an entrepreneur, because oftentimes we do, as we say, we get lost in the sauce when it is overwhelming. Somebody needs to know, how do I carry the vision again with no money coming in? Again, where I don't have all the connections that I need, but today I have this connection. How do I maximize that connection in a world where chasing likes and followers and I need to put myself over here. I need to put myself over here, but staying aligned with purpose instead of popularity.
Wow, that's good.
To stay aligned with the purpose that God has given you and not be moved by popularity. It's hard for entrepreneurs. And even on here, God has given me I have the entrepreneur, her. But he said to reach out to men in this season, men that are leading, men that are entrepreneurs and making those high level, high stake decisions, not just for the business, but for their family. Because when you're carrying a vision and you're that male counterpart in the family, what do you say to them? Because I love how you speak on relationships and marriage. I read a lot of your posts regarding that relationship in marriage, but that man that's carrying that vision, that's not looking at a paycheck right now, that's struggling with what God has put on his heart, what would you say to that man?
I think one of the biggest things that men have to understand is the components of faith in and of themselves. Because once you understand the 5 components of faith, not only does it posture and position you to lead your family, it allows you to weather storms, even when it comes down to finances. So I'll give you those 5 components really, really quick, because it becomes the foundation of everything that I teach. I teach it when I'm talking to CEOs of companies and corporations. I teach it when I'm talking to entrepreneurs. I teach it when I'm talking to husband and wives team, understanding faith in and of itself. And I'm glad that you set that last question up the way you did, because the transitions of what I'm about to talk about now. There's 5 components to faith. And as a man, if you don't get anything else that I said, you want this. You want this for your marriage. You want this for your family. You want this for your finances, right? So faith first takes place inside of your mind. And in the Greek language, the word mind, well, there's 55 different words for the word mind in and of itself. So the mind is one of the most complicated words within all of scripture. The mind in and of itself is a Greek word called suke, right? And in your mind, you have 3 things. Number 1, you have hope. As a husband, as a father, as a leader, as a business owner, the first thing that has to transpire is for you to have hope. Well, what is hope? Hope comes from a Greek word elpis, which means anticipated expectation with pleasure, which means I'm not just waiting for something good to happen. I'm waiting for something good to happen, and I'm excited about it. It's one thing for you to wait on the mailman to come, right? That happens almost every day, depending on how many bills you have or not.
Yeah.
But when there's a check for $25,000 in the mail, that's anticipated expectation with pleasure, because you're looking out the window and you're waiting on him to come, because you're excited about what you can do once you cash that $25,000 check, right?
Right.
So in marriage, finance, entrepreneurship, the first thing that has to be hope. When I counsel married couples or people in relationship, the very first question I ask them, or even business owners, is there hope? And if you tell me there's no hope, then there's no foundation. And that's whole conversation. Anything I say is going to be hopeless. So first in our mind, there has to be hope. Then there has to be expectation. I'm giving you a blueprint and a roadmap.
Yes.
Expectation is a two-way street. And we place expectations in nouns, in people, places, and things. We even have expectations on God, right? But what we have to understand is that God has expectations on us. We place expectations on our spouses or our significant others. But at the same time, they have expectations on us. At the same time, even when it comes to your customers, there's expectations that you have of your customers, but your customers are also going to have expectations of you. It's a two-way street, right? And expectation is the breeding ground for miracles. Anybody that God has ever got, anybody that's got God to do anything for them in their life, they expect it for him to do it. So number two is walking in expectation. You have to expect the marriage to go further. You have to expect the business to thrive. Even when it don't look like it, you got to learn how to trust God even when you can't trace him. You got to expect for the kids to grow up and be successful. So there's expectation. So in your mind, you have hope, you have expectation, and that's what 3 builds your confidence. The more a person meets or exceeds my expectation, the stronger my confidence I'm able to have in that now, that person, that place, and thing, and all that's inside the mind. So what happens as a father, as a husband, as a business owner, the first place you attack is always in your mind. Because the initial attack is to cause you to lose confidence. Right. And the only way you can use your confidence is if it appears that your expectations aren't being met. And if your expectations aren't being met, it won't be long before you say, you do you, I'll do me. Or I'll downsize, outsource, or file bankrupt, because where there's no hope, there's no hope. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That deals with the mind when you're talking about faith in relationship, marriage, or business. But then you also have the heart. In Hebrew, the word heart is the word leib, and it literally means that which lead, guides, and direct. It urges you forward, right? It is the seat of your will, your intellect, and your emotions. That's why I love the name of your show, Remove Logic, because your heart is three-dimensional. It's interchangeable with the word soul. So some scriptures you'll see the word heart, other scriptures you'll see the word soul, but it's the same word, right? So it's your will, your intellect, emotions. A lot of modern theologians and scholars, we call it your thinker, your feeler, and your chooser, right? So whenever your thinker takes place, that's logic. Oh, God. And if you allow logic to take the driver's seat in making decisions as it pertains to your family, as it pertains to your spouse, your significant other, or your business, then a lot of times you'll miss out on opportunity. I'm so glad that God didn't make the heart one-dimensional.
My God.
Because you also have a will. In other words, you can press play and move forward, even though it don't make sense to you logically.
My God.
He also place emotions inside of there. And even if you don't feel like doing something, and even though logically or intellectually it don't make sense, you still have a will that you can fulfill your purpose.
Do it. Yes.
And so they're interchangeable. So we have to remove the logic in order for our faith to really ignite and take off the way that it's supposed to. But in your heart, you have 3 things. In your heart, you have belief. In your heart, you have trust. And in your heart, you have obedience. So if you have a person that has a belief issue or a trust issue or an obedience issue, those are heart issues. And what faith is when it comes to marriage, relationships, finance, entrepreneurship, is when I take what's in my mind and I allow it to become mixed, married, and merged with what's in my heart. And they're able to become one accord. The biggest issue we have in entrepreneurship, in marriage relationship, is that our heart and our mind are not on the same page.
Not aligned.
Sometimes we can think that we can get away with something, but in your heart of hearts, you know that you can't. Some decisions we think are good for us, but in your heart of heart, you know that they can't. And whichever one you give the most authority to is the one that's going to supersede and take control in that area of your life, your heart and your mind. Make sense?
God. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, I like that. But again, God transcends logic or logistics, and you have to make room for what God wants rather than thinking about what's going on around you. Because again, this Monday morning answer, it ties to so many things along the way. We know we have that along the way grace. We have all the things that God does along the way. But when you start to look at things, like I said, when the numbers don't add up and the vision appears to be too big, you do need all of those components to be able to continue with purpose, because popularity will get you caught up. We know that it will get you caught up. Now, moving to creators, you have creators, ministries, entrepreneurs, artists on the network right now, and they're reaching millions of homes just being on the LiTtv network. Let's talk about some of the channels on LiTtv network and how you utilize those channels.
So one of the things that we're doing now, and like I said earlier, 6 months after we became a television station, a television channel, my business partner had the bright idea that cost us a whole bunch of money to become a full-blown television network. And I'm like, we're already a network. The name of our company is LiTtv Network. He said, we call ourselves network, but in reality, we're only a channel. Because in order for you to have a network, you got to have at least two. If you go to a network marketing event and you're the only person there, you're a lonely man on a wall. You can't even network a computer unless you have at least two. And he says, think about this. He says, what we've been able to do through LiTtv channel, and of course, we got these content creators from all over the country because we never wanted to be seen as a local channel. So even when we started Lit Television Network, we didn't tell people in Jacksonville about it. Most people didn't even know we were in Jacksonville. Our corporate office was in Jacksonville, Florida, because we understand in business, there's an onion mentality, especially when you're dealing with our people. You got to go outside of your city, make a name for yourself, show people that you don't need them. And so when you come back, they feel like you need them because they want to jump on the surfboard and then act like they've been there with you the whole time. So we understood that, and I understood that from music. In order for people locally to rock with you or want to ride with you, you have to go out and show them that you can make it without them.
Because that's the gospel, right? That's the gospel. That's the gospel. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in.
I'm telling you. And so what we did was we knew that coming into it, right? So then 6 months later, after this taking off, and we have all these content creators, my business partner is like, what about this? He said, the same thing that we're doing here. What if we put a local television channel in every major city in the country, right? And so then that way, if you're in Orlando, Florida, or if you're in Dallas, Texas, you're able to see the local barbershop, the local hair salons, the local churches, local real estate agents that look like us. You're able to see the local restaurants. You're able to see the local boutiques that are Black-owned businesses. What could that do for a community if we created an entire ecosystem that was for us by us? So that way money can truly stay inside of our neighborhood. And I was like, it sounds good. He said, but don't stop there. He said, what if we had a whole bunch of shelves and a whole bunch of grandparents that's teaching the art of cooking? And we create a Black food network. What if we got together all these content creators that's creating all these cartoons with Black characters in it? What if we had a Black cartoon network? So then that way our kids can learn early childhood education, can learn skill sets from people that look like them. Wow. What does that do for children psychologically when you're able to see people that reflect you and your pigmentation in and of your skin? It's like, if we don't do it for our people, who's going to do it? And I was like, it sounds good. Then he says, okay, this is how much it's going to cost. And so during that time, we're making money as a company, along with the financial investment that he and I made, because again, it has always been bigger than us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
And so we started. So now we're launching local TV channels in every major city in the country. So if there's an NFL team there, there's an NBA team there, or if there's an HBCU there, we're putting a local channel in that market. Our ultimate goal is eventually we'll start producing nightly news. And the catch is the nightly news that we're going to do in every city is only going to be positive news. There's enough negative news that's out there. Every time you turn out, right here in Jacksonville, I just saw a news story yesterday of a local Black business owner that moved back to Jacksonville, opened up a chicken wing restaurant here, right? And she charged, I think, like $18 for 6 or 7 wings. And when I tell you the city is in an uproar, not understanding how much it costs to open a restaurant. not understanding how much overhead there is in it, not understanding how much you have to pay workers, not understanding how much food costs down and the thin margins that's there, right?
Yeah.
And so people
Yes.
begin to tear her down. So once I get off this phone call today, my next call is to her. So that way
Right.
I can partner with her and let her know about the Lit Television Network so she can put her business in front of people that look like her, that
My
can
God.
support her and her business because she's bringing jobs to our community. So I say that to say this, every city goes through the same thing. Then we also lease TV channels. So just like a person can have a TV show, they can lease their own channel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What vision has God given you? If you're in finance, if you're in healthcare, if you're in education, if you're in real estate, can you imagine having your own television channel? And we make it affordable and turnkey. So the television network not only allows us to share local stores, but it allows entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs a platform so they can come in and actually take this almost a franchise approach, if you will. Take it, we give you the keys to the car, and then help you put money not only in your vision, but inside the lives of those inside of your family, people that work for you, and your local community as well.
Yeah. Mike and I meet every Monday morning at 7, and we have our brainstorm sessions. And to have access to a mind like this and starting a podcast or starting a radio TV program, I needed it because it gave me a different focus, and it also expanded my view of what was in my hand. I often think about how my God put that staff in Moses's hand, and Moses just, hey, this is my normal operation. I'm out here in the desert and I need this staff. And then when he just used it in a whole nother way and told him to stretch out your rod, right, and what he was able to do with it. And that's what I see you with this LiTtv network is stretching out the rod, and we're able to see it in a different way, what our capabilities are. What do most content creators get wrong when they approach a platform like LiTtv?
And more times than not understanding the difference between visibility and vision. If visibility comes before vision, it always leads to confusion. If visibility comes before vision, it always leads to confusion. But when vision comes before visibility, it leads to purpose and fulfillment. So for instance, you take Joseph. Joseph received the vision, right? And so by the time he became visible and he was out front, he was able to operate with character, discipline, integrity because he had the vision before the visibility.
Right.
And one of the issues that we have now, especially with content creators, everybody want to be seen and everybody want to be heard. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has something to say. It used to be a time in the church when you got ordained, you got licensed, you would sit up under a pastor, and if you were in error, they would let you know. They'll pull your coattail. They'll say you only preach. We had that inside the church.
Right.
Now, if you got a microphone, if you got a cell phone, if you got some lights, you can go in front of hundreds and thousands of people and have no idea what it is that you're talking about. I remember when I first started working with pastors in advertising back in 2012, and the lingo of language used to be, I want to brand my name and I want to connect. In other words, I want to be seen. I want people to know who I am. And during that phase of 15 years, everybody was calling ministries after their name. And I'm not going to say a person's name. I just use John Doe Ministries, Jane Doe Ministries. And it was all about building their brand, their name. Why? So they can sell books. And that's what happened with content creators. They want to be seen. Everybody see the glory, but they don't know the story. And so even if they blow up overnight, if you blow up fast, you die out fast. The thing about business and content creation, I'll say this and I'll be finished, is that life is full of ebbs and flows.
It is.
I don't care if you're in business, if you're in marriage, you're in a relationship, there's ebbs and flows, there's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, right? And the issue that we have is we're always looking for the peak and never preparing ourselves for the valley.
Yeah.
Even when a person is on a sick bed, there's the machine that they hook them up to and it beeps, beep, beep. But what's happening? It's going up and down, beep, up and down, beep, up and down. And as long as it's life, there's always up and down. But when the peaks and valleys, when the ebbs and flows stop, then you flatline, and that's where there's death or separation. And so the key to having a successful marriage, a successful ministry, being successful in content is understanding your purpose first. And then as long as you understand your purpose, you can never be bought with a price.
Right, right. And that goes back to the purpose versus popularity and how you can get those two confused, because yes, God gave you a vision, but is it time for you to be seen in visibility? There's a difference in being viewed and being seen.
That's right.
There is a difference.
Right.
And so when he decides, okay, it's time for you to be seen. I'm calling you from the backside of the desert and I'm putting you out here from that private time that you spent with him, from the moments where to whom much is given, much is required, where I've taken care of the little bit that you've given me. And now I can master the more that you've been holding for me. And in Matthew 5:15, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. That's LiTtv Network. You're giving light to everyone in the house. You're giving people that platform. And why is it important for you to create these opportunities for others to be seen and heard? This is where we see the purpose and the mission for LiTtv Network unfolding in front of our eyes. And the power of this is your mission. And I'm a part of that mission. And that stand that holds that lamp.
Come on.
You're holding that lamp that everybody in the house can be seen. And this is a moment for you to introduce yourself in the LiTtv Network to the Remove Logic community and those like me. For those of you that don't know, God had shown me there's this person that's watching you. And I was telling my son, I was like, hey, God showed me there's this man, that somebody's watching me. And this person is going to take me to another level. And I had just expressed that to him the night before. And you reached out the very next morning and asked, have you thought about putting Remove Logic on a television network? And immediately, yes, we go, we say, well, let me go pray about it. And I like that you gave me that time. Go pray about it. But I already knew, because he'd already shown me that somebody was coming. When God does something, he does it right. He doesn't half do it. And we know that. But the logic of a thing, sometimes, like, oh, I'm not ready. Oh, I'm not ready. But God knows when you're ready, because he sends that right person to help you to build. When you design this room that we see as LiTtv, where do you see it going? I just want to ask you that as we prepare to wrap up. What do you see LiTtv going in the future?
I see it as becoming the platform for our people. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. The information that you find on the Lit Television Network, I don't care what you're looking for, we have it. If it's business, we have business content. If it's health, we have health content. As a matter of fact, for 3 years, we're partnered with the Mayo Clinic. For 3 years, they had a Black men's health channel on our television network aimed at prostate cancer in men. And we have these major companies and corporations that's seeing what we're doing, and they understand that it's never been anything like that ever created, because we're not middlemen. My business owner and I own Lit Television Network 100%. We're actually a technology company that operates in the television space. So even your black politicians, we're one of the media groups for the Florida Black Caucus. When they want to get information out there now, Lit Television Network in the state of Florida is how they do it. So I say that to say this: when it comes to any information as it revolves around anything positive that's going on in any major city in the country, Lit Television Network is going to be the platform that we can see it.
Yeah. Yes. My show, Remove Logic, is built on the premise that God transcends logic and logistics. And that sometimes the most aligned move looks like the least logical place on paper or even in our thoughts. So I want to ask you just one last thing. If you had to tell someone to remove logic today, what would that logic be to get over here to the LiTtv Network?
you have to see beyond yourself, right? Um, I said it earlier, when God gives vision, he gives provision, right? And any business, and when it comes to advertising and marketing, I'll say this and it'll make it make sense. Only thing advertising does, it connects buyers with sellers. And anything that you need do in life and anything that God deposits in your life, it has to do with people. And so what we're doing is we're connecting content creators, people that God has given a vision, placed it on the inside of their belly, and they need eyeballs. And so we're that meeting place for content creators and eyeballs. Because as long as you have access to eyeballs, you have a voice. Once you have access to voices, you have access to minds. And once you have access to minds, you have access to influence. That's why you have all these companies and corporations that's looking for influencers, people that can help sway people to the left or either to the right. So if there's a message that's on the inside of you that you want it to reach the masses, that you want to get in front of people of black and brown color, people of color, if you will, our platform is it. And we know that people are going to come looking for it. And the reason being, anytime you have this much power, it's almost like the Underground Railroad. And I say this and I'll be finished. The issue that society has with Kanye West and people like Kyrie Irving is because they're standing on the porch where people are enslaved and telling them, don't y'all know y'all slaves? Don't you know that you can be free? When they were creating the Underground Railroad, each one of these houses, you know what they were called on the Underground Network? They were called stations. And the stations were designed to help get people to freedom. And that's what we're building. We're building stations all over the country, all over the world, to show people that are black and brown that you can be free. I'm not trying to compete, or we're not trying to compete with mainstream media. Do what y'all do. We're not trying to compete with nightly news. Keep talking about the negative stuff. Our platform is for people that feel like they're going somewhere, that want to be connected with other people that's going somewhere, and want to see them win in every area of their life.
I love that. I love that. And we know as believers that God would choose the foolish things of this world to shame the wise.
Come on.
And when I listen to you and the mission behind what you're doing, the impact of what you're doing with LiTtv Network, I see the foolish things confounding the wise. The very things that they thought that they had control over, God has put in the hands of the one that carry it. When you become a vessel, you don't just win, you multiply impact.
That's right.
You multiply impact, and that's what the LiTtv Network is doing. And I want to say to you, Mike, thank you so much that you came on tonight to remind us that a platform is not just a business, it is a responsibility.
That's right.
That you and your co-founder are carrying the responsibility that we can have this room where we can be lit up and the stories can go forth. When you build something for your people, with your people, you are not just creating content, you're creating a legacy.
That's right.
You're creating a legacy. And I want to encourage you, if you have a message, if you have a word that God has placed on your heart and you know that it deserves a larger platform, the LiTtv Network is the place for you. The LiTtv network is proof that when vision meets obedience, and we've heard that in this episode of Remove Logic, God will bring the resources, he will bring the audience and the favor at the same time. If you are watching tonight and you've been sitting on a message, a ministry, or a movement, let tonight be that night that you stop waiting for permission. I want to invite you to contact me so that we can give you access to this man and this network, the LiTtv Network. The screen is already on. The network is already built. But the question is, are you ready to be seen? And we want to help you to carry your vision from vision to visibility. And I know that Mike is the vehicle because he has certainly helped me here on Remove Logic. This is your moment. Mike, I want to thank you. If you have any last words, I want to just give you the floor and we're going to cut off this episode of Remove Logic.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your platform, sharing your voice, sharing your audience with me that are listening all over the world and that's viewing you all over the world. I thank you because this is much needed. It's necessary because if you listen to mainstream media, they'll tell you that Majority of us that are black or brown is eventually we're either on our way from jail or coming from jail. And you have people that's doing exceptional things like yourself. When I saw your broadcast the first time, I was like, oh my Lord, who is this woman? And I started doing my research. So when you got that word, it was dead on, because I am a master researcher. I research everything. And I began looking at some of the different episodes that you have. I have a background. I'm the president of the board for a mental health organization. And the episode that I saw, it was dealing with ministry and mental health. I'm like, oh my God, who is this? The world needs to know what she's doing. So I'm so glad that I made the phone call, sent the email. I'm so glad that Lit Television Network, we're not about transaction, we're about transformation. So every relationship that we have is not about a dollar sign. It's about us helping you get from where you are to where it is that you believe that God is taking you to.
Yes, and thank you so much, Mike, for coming on. This is Mike GRUBBS, co-founder of the LiTtv Network, and what we're doing, and I'm partnering with him to take you from podcast to broadcast. This is your moment. This is your platform. It is for us, and this is your sign. I want to thank the Remove Logic community for stopping by and hanging out with me tonight. This is Remove Logic. God transcends logic and logistics. And I am your host, Karen Ray Lacey. And this has been another power-packed episode of Remove Logic. Thank you so much for joining me. And we will see you next week, same time.